Welcome to the brand new Zach Lowe Show. That's right, I'm back to have the same in-depth NBA conversations you're used to. We're going to talk about the games, the X's and O's, the drama. The playoffs are coming up. And now you get to see every episode in full on video on Spotify and on my own YouTube channel. Episodes drop every Monday and Thursday with a collection of guests you're going to love. So make sure you follow and subscribe to the brand new Zach Lowe Show on Spotify or wherever you watch or listen to your podcasts. Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Death, Taxes, and Bananas podcast. You can watch this episode and every other episode on our YouTube channel, Ringer Reality TV, and now on Spotify. I keep saying this, and I'm going to say it again, even though there is a Spotify exec in the room. They finally got with the program and started putting video on Spotify. So, bravo. This is definitely an episode you're going to want to watch in full 1080p. All right? Television form, a resolution that my next guest is very comfortable being in. We're switching up gears here again because I like to be unpredictable. I don't want you guys to know what I'm going to do from week to week, who I'm going to bring on. I like to just, like a fucking magician. Just pull a rabbit out of my hat or a, bartender out of the bar. Because my next guest, who was once a heartthrob bartender turned reality TV lightning rod, a staple of Vanderpump Rules, known as much for his flair as his fallout. His name echoed through the headlines after a scandal that rocked Bravo Nation and a breakup that played out on screens not just across the country, but worldwide. From the highest highs to the lowest lows, he hit rock bottom, publicly, painfully, but rock bottom has a funny way of revealing what you're really made of. This isn't in the intro, but I'm going to throw this in there. It's one of my dad's favorite quotes. The steel of a man is forged in the flames of adversity. Thanks, Dad. Write that down. He suited up for special forces, pushed his limits, and proved he's more than just a headline. Then traded his cocktails for a cloak and dagger, stepping into the Traitors with something to prove. So this is the reality of a redemption arc, the comeback story, the man behind the mustache, Mr. Tom Sandoval.
Wow, that's quite an intro. Johnny.
Hey, man.
Good to be here.
I'm like your fluffer. I'm like your intro fluffer.
that was impressive. Wow.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I was also on Masked Singer.
You know what? I forgot to put that in there.
Yeah.
You were on Masked Singer.
That was fun, by the way.
How did that come about?
Well, it's funny. Like I can't remember how it came about, but I wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars, and then I ended up on Masked Singer. I was the diver. It was a great costume too, because some people had for instance, I can't remember his name. I'm so bad with names, but somebody was a rubber ducky with a tub. So it was a tub, shower curtain, and them as a duck inside the tub and shower curtain.
That's
but
amazing.
I at least had legs and arms that could move around.
Like
I had
the
a big
Karate
helmet.
Kid. Remember the original Karate Kid when he was the shower?
Yes.
Yeah.
Terrible costume idea when you're going to a party, by the way.
So I had one that was pretty bad. Well, I've had a couple that were pretty bad. I remember when I was a kid, I was a dinosaur, and I had a really long, dinosaur tail. And when we went trick-or-treating, everyone kept stepping on my tail.
Have you ever seen the movie Companion?
No.
Oh, you should check it out.
Same shit?
Well, two of the people meet. One of them steps on the other one's dinosaur tail.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's exact that they probably got that story from my childhood.
From Johnny Bananas.
Yeah. And then a few years ago, I was an alien abductee, and I made this sick costume. I used a camelback, and I put this PVC pipe bracket, and I fabricated this UFO with an alien, and I put this shiny iridescent like wrapping paper that hung down, had lights, so it looked like I was getting like sucked up into into a spaceship.
That's pretty cool.
And the backpack that I used actually was a Camelback as well. So I could like fill it up with booze. But everywhere I went, if I went under a doorway, I would hit the doorway. I couldn't go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I couldn't get in the car.
Yeah.
It was dedication. It's kind of like how like, you know, when girls go out, when they like get ready to go out, they wear like the most uncomfortable shit.
Yes.
And they have to deal all night with like, oh, my feet hurt, you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt on Halloween. So
was that one of your favorite costumes?
That was one. That, and then I was actually Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow?
Yeah.
That seems like it'd be a good one for you.
Dude, it was perfect. I spent a lot on this costume because I piecemealed it out. I didn't just buy the costume whole.
Yeah.
I bought it like piece by piece. So it ended up being a lot more.
That's the way to go.
But it was hard to wear in Miami. It's like the wig was like an aggressive wig with like the dreadlocks, and I had to wear it in Miami in October, so it was pretty hot.
Yeah, that sucks. LA is sometimes kind of bad, you know, when you're layering up. One of my favorites was when I dressed up as Gambit. And
X-Men.
Yeah, from X-Men. And I ordered like steel shin guards from an armory. I found a leather duster jacket that was perfect. It was actually women's, but it was bigger. And then the headpiece was made by somebody who actually worked on the Avengers, who helped build Don Cheadle, War Machine's legs.
Yeah.
So the headpiece had to be made out of like a surfer bodysuit material, and then the leather had to be put over it after the fact. The headpiece was like the hardest thing, and I had 2 sets of contacts in my eyes. So I had full black sclerics, and then I had red that went on top of it, so my eyes fully blacked out with the red eyes.
I didn't realize that was possible to wear. Isn't that like wearing 2 condoms? Like they just don't work?
No, it works. They stick together.
With the condoms or the contacts?
The contacts. I've never experienced a 2 condom thing. I remember that was a thing that
I've never experienced the 1 condom thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember people talking about that like back in the day.
Yeah,
2
wear
condoms.
2. And it's
wear
like,
2 condoms.
No, it'll break.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Avengers, and I know this is just me being, I think, just like, I don't know, a dork or whatever. But when I met Alan, you know, Alan Cumming was Nightcrawler.
Yes, of course.
And most people don't know that.
They don't. I knew it immediately.
So
I knew
did I. I was so
Nightcrawler.
geeked here's what was funny. When I first met him, I was like, holy shit, I want to meet fucking Nightcrawler, dude. He probably wants to be known for every role he's ever done in his entire life, except for X-Men.
I thought that, first of all, I loved the first couple
Me
X-Men.
too. They were the
thought
best.
They were amazing, amazingly casted.
Yes.
And well, I knew Alan Cumming from James Bond.
That's
GoldenEye.
right. Yes.
I'm invincible.
Yes,
that
yes,
guy.
yes.
He was great in that. He was also in God, I can't remember this other movie. He played a bad guy. And then I remember him in
Spy
Nightcrawler.
Kids or something. Wasn't he in that as well?
I never watched Spy Kids.
Okay.
But yeah.
But Nightcrawler, when I saw him, I'm like, but you see, when I saw him in person, I'm like, oh my God, you're so small and frail and white. You look nothing like you did. You know, they're making the new, it's Avengers Doomsday.
So
And they're bringing him back.
Really?
Yep.
They're bringing Alan Cumming back as Nightcrawler?
Yes, as Nightcrawler.
I mean, now that they've incorporated the multiverse and all this stuff, they can bring back whoever they want at any time.
How badass would that be? This is what always pissed me off about, like, when Chris Evans and fucking Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. They're like, yeah, kill us off. We don't want to be like part of this. We want like real. We want to be taken seriously. I'm like, guys, you're making $40 million a movie to be a fucking superhero. I would do that for the rest of my life.
To me, they were my favorite Avengers, personally. I mean, I felt like when they died, like the franchise really took a hit.
Died. Hell yeah.
What always bothered me about the Avengers is like, yes, you got, Jeremy Renner and both Scarlett Johansson, great job with the characters, but the issue is like they're both just regular people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
I had the same problem.
Regular people.
And how do they not die?
Yeah.
How do they not die?
Bullets flying everywhere. It's like, y'all are just regular people. Like, you can't, you can be Avenger assistants.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
you could be like the one when the war really breaks out, like, okay, you guys hang out back here. And if we need like reloads or whatever, like you can help us out.
Yeah.
Like if I need some water.
Yeah. Or some like,
electrolytes. Like when I'm fighting, like if I need some fucking electrolytes, you guys will be there.
It's like when during the Blade series they would have their like Daywalker minions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone came to this podcast to listen to us talk about the Avengers.
Yes, they did.
Which was your favorite one, by the way?
My favorite Avenger
out of the four. Out of the four. So it was in not Infinity Wars. What was the first one? It was the first one, then it was Age of Ultron, then it was Infinity War, then it was Endgame.
I really liked, my favorite movies, I really liked the first Captain America. I liked the third Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the third Iron Man was awesome. I really liked Civil War.
Yep.
And
did you like Guardians of the Galaxy?
I did.
I fucking love Chris Pratt, dude.
Yeah.
He's like my favorite. Like that character, that kind of like sarcastic dickhead.
The first one was my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fucking all those characters are just so good. I couldn't believe for the longest time that Rocket was Bradley Cooper.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
And that Groot was Vin Diesel.
Yes.
What a horrible voiceover role to get.
I mean, it's great. He can.
I am Groot. That's all he says the whole movie.
Yeah. I think that's a great gig. Voiceover is great. You ever done voiceover before?
Yeah. I did an episode of American Dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Bitch and Race. Yeah. It's about the challenge.
Yeah. I did this show called Bee and Puppy Cat. I did. There's season 2. I was this guy Crispin. If you look it up, it's like I can't remember episode like 8 or something, but it's this character Crispin. He looks like me. He sounds like me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, you know what's great about it? I still get residual checks in the mail from Disney like a couple times a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like, why don't I do this all the fucking time? So the
best
writers
job ever.
So shout out to the writers for American Dad. Were all huge challenge fans.
Nice.
So I actually went over to their house one day. All the writers got together, watched an episode of the challenge, and it was the funniest shit because these guys, they're always just cracking jokes.
Yeah.
But like very funny, like high level jokes for the challenge. And I'm like, dude, can I just hang out with you guys this is all the Twitter material I need. So yes, they put me on an episode of American Dad. It was called Bitch and Race, and it was supposed to be like The Amazing Race, but American Dad style. But it was dope, dude.
Roger the Alien, actually, I was
tweeted at you?
back, and forth, and he ended up drawing me and him in the motorcycle sidecar.
Shut up.
Yeah, and I have it. It'd take me too long to find it on my phone right now, but yeah, I have it.
We'll put it in post.
Yeah.
Sasha, remind me to get Tom Sandoval's picture of him riding in a motorcycle with Roger
the Alien.
Roger the Alien.
By the way, I just want to say thanks for sharing your coffee with me. I appreciate that. Sharing
Mi cafe es su cafe.
I appreciate it. And also, speaking of Twitter, literally this morning, I just got my Twitter back. My Twitter has been hacked for like 5 years.
Buddy, you didn't have two-step verification on there?
I don't know what the hell happened, but like, I just gave up after a while.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. You picked a good period of time, I think, in your life to be off Twitter.
Yeah.
I think that was actually a blessing in disguise.
It was a win.
It was kind of like, and I think so when did your Twitter go away? Do you remember?
I mean, it must have been like 2020, yeah.
So one of the best, my ex-manager, he who shall not be mentioned, one of the only great ideas he ever had was 2018, prior to First Look, the show. Remember
of course,
K-Town.
Yeah.
Prior to me getting that job, right before I got hired by NBC, he's like, dude, you know what? We're gonna scrub your fucking Twitter. And I'm like, why? He goes, because there's probably some shit that you've tweeted out that probably, is not going to reflect positively in this day and age. And, now that you're with NBC,
like
probably age like, like milk, like Wes Bergman.
Like NFTs.
Yeah. Deleted everything prior to 2018. So I literally did not exist on Twitter prior to 2018. Then 2019, 2020 rolls around, fucking cancel culture's full blast. I'm like, thank God, dude. Because there's probably some shit out there that would have reared its ugly head that was socially acceptable back in 2014, 2013, 2015, but now probably is not.
Yeah.
So I think we both benefited from, me having my my Twitter history deleted and you just not having Twitter?
I got my Twitter right when the show started. Same thing with Instagram right before Vanderpump Rules started.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just mainly was just tweeting about show stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's back when you could do that. Now it's just, dude, Reddit and Twitter, fucking cesspools.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to get into Vanderpump. Before we do, I want to tell our story. So do you remember where and when we met?
I think we met through Adam, right?
Nope.
We met.
I'll give you a hint. It was the Philadelphia Eagles were playing, I think, in the championship game. And then we went to a karaoke bar. What was the karaoke bar you guys used to always hang out at? It's right off like fucking La Cienega.
Belmont.
The Belmont. We roll up to the Belmont, and I forgot I was with one of the girls who used to work for MTV, and she goes, "Oh, all the Vanderpump crew's here," and you guys were like kind of off in like a booth in the corner. I had never met any of you guys before. This is before I came into your world, and I'm standing there, and this girl comes up to me and goes, "Hey, my boyfriend's a really big fan. He wants to meet you," and I'm like, "All right." Walk over. It's fucking Chad from Nickelback.
Oh,
all right, and he goes, "Bananas. What up, dude?" He goes, "Man, I love watching your show." He goes, "When I want to put really shitty television on, I put on The Challenge." And I'm like, "Yeah, when I want to listen to really shitty music, I put on Nickelback."
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Let me introduce you to my buddy Tom." And then you guys, I think, had just met that day too.
We had met a few times before, and he had come back in town. I met him at his concert. I actually went there with my friend Katie and Jeremy Renner, actually. And we had all gone to the concert with a group of people, and we were backstage. And I didn't know this, but Chad and his girlfriend were both, fans of the show.
Okay, so they're just reality television junkies, apparently.
Yeah, so we were just chatting it up, and like I had not really listened to Nickelback like in a while. I hadn't seen or kept up with Chad, so I like
you
seeing
were
him.
Keeping up with Nickelback?
I wasn't at the time.
With you, dude?
Well, and so he had this like short hair, and he just was so. He was so different than I imagined him.
Yeah.
Because I was never like a huge, like diehard Nickelback fan. I mean, I did like their hits, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for sure. But he just was so sweet and so nice.
Yeah.
And I just was like, wow, like, and we kind of hit it off, and he ended up getting my number from somebody texting me, and then we just started hanging out.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Belmont.
Yeah, and then we ended up going to Belmont that night, and there's a picture on my Instagram. It says Pickle Back with Nickelback.
Oh, shit.
And so that was the night I met you.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah. Well, we were both, listen, in the interest of, in your defense, we were both pretty fucking lit.
Yeah.
I had been partying at, was it Barney's Beanery? I forget where we were watching the game before. Got there. I remember we were shotgunning beers at the bar. And my last recollection that night is, I believe all three of us went up on stage.
Did we?
Yeah, and sang a Sublime song.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
checks out. That checks out. Yeah.
What a great night.
I know. And then, yeah, dude. And then just throughout the years, obviously, like, Sheena had some, we had mutual friends. And then, met, Adam, your boy Adam. And then, kind of ingratiated myself into the, into your guys' crew.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a lone soldier. I'll just like find groups and I'll be like, yeah, I'll fucking
You're good at that. You're a social
guys.
butterfly. You know what I mean? You just float around, just landing here, landing there.
No, Johnny Appleseed. I just run around spreading the seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, where did bananas come from?
So I had a couple. The first run-in I had with bananas, I was a kid. Did you ever see Beverly Hills Cop?
Of course I did. Banana in the Tailpipe?
Yes.
One of my favorite movies, by the way.
So I tried to pull that prank. It wasn't even a prank. I was trying to get out of going to elementary school. So my mom would, put me and my sisters in the car, take us all to school. I wake up before we go, and I'm like, I just watched the movie, and I'm like, I'm going to stall her car out. She won't be able to take us to school. So I shoved a bunch of bananas in the tailpipe. And then we get in the car. I'm sitting in the back seat like, yo, we're about to have a day off school. She turns the key, car starts right up. I'm like, what the fuck? I was lied to. Drops us off at school. I get picked up later that day, or I think, I don't know, when she got home, just in a rage. And she's like, did you shove a bunch of bananas in my tailpipe? I'm like, she goes, I was on my way to work, because we lived in Orange County, but she had to commute to Santa Monica. She's on like the 5. car starts filling up with fucking carbon monoxide,
Oh,
dude.
shit.
Yeah, so she takes it to the mechanic. She thought, like, I don't know, her car was broken, and he found about 7 bananas.
You put 7
a
bananas?
whole bunch. I don't know. How many come in a bunch? How many we got here?
It's like,
Yeah, 6. You know, half a dozen. And they pulled them all out. And
she was like, we did just watch Beverly Hills Cop last night.
That's how she knew. So that was the first like run-in I had. So that was kind of like a running joke, you know, as growing up. And then after high school, I moved to New York, got a job at Banana Republic. And my best friend / business partner, John, gave me the nickname Johnny Bananas to distinguish him and the rest of his, because there was like 4 Johns in this group of friends that I infiltrated. Another friend group that I fucking infiltrated.
Okay.
They all worked at Kenneth Cole, and then I was just
Kenneth Cole,
the Lone Ranger.
Is Kenneth Cole still around?
I don't think so.
I thought about that the other day. Kenneth Cole reaction.
Yes.
Remember that?
Oh, they had everything. Belts, dude.
Yeah. Shoes.
That was back when like Emporio Armani was a big deal.
Well, it was like Armani Exchange first kind of came on the and then there was like Banana Republic, Kenneth Cole.
Yeah.
Abercrombie
and Fitch.
Yeah, that was like after Abercrombie was sort of going away. That was more when people were sort of graduating to like the black pants, you know, blue, like same color shirt as tie.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
monochrome.
Yeah. Yeah, the monochrome look.
Yeah.
That like sort of, that was back when like, it kind of like, I remember when it started to change is like when the movie Cruel Intentions came out. That was like a huge style moment.
Was that with the threesome, Denise Richards and the threesome, or was that something different?
That was Wild Things.
Oh, Wild Things.
Cruel Intentions had
Which was Cruel Intentions?
Cruel Intentions had Ryan Felipe, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
That's right.
Yeah, and Reese Witherspoon.
That was like back around like I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened is when people started to change into like the more like upscale black preppy look. It was like a total, everybody wanted to be that.
Shift.
Yeah.
It went from like all American Abercrombie to now they wanted to look like.
It went from Can Hardly Wait to to Cruel Intentions. And then I'll never forget too, when Mission Impossible 1 came out and he was constantly in the rain, Tom Cruise. And then, you know, when he went and saw Max, the informant, trying to find Job 13 or whatever, like they put a thing on him and they pull the thing off and his hair is like this messy spike that's been rained on and pushed forward.
It's such a sick hairstyle.
Yeah, but it was an accidental thing. Everybody started fixing their hair like that, including myself. I went and saw that movie. I came home and I started fixing my hair like Tom Cruise's
fucking hairstyle.
Messed up haircut.
Do you want to know the most messed up I've ever seen Tom Cruise's hair? I went to the premiere of Top Gun 2 on the battleship. It was sick.
Oh yeah, Adam was with you.
Yes, you were supposed to go.
I was supposed to go. I had something going on. I couldn't go.
I had you guys hooked up. It was sick. So he flies in a helicopter from Coronado. He flew it.
Yeah.
Lands on the aircraft carrier. Gets off, and because of like the rotor wash from like the fucking he looked like a psychopath. His hair was like curly. He looked like Dr. Brown, Dr. Brown from
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. Dude, you're a movie guy. I love this. You're a fucking movie guy. All right. Well, enough about us and movies. All right. So you started your journey back in 2013, you said, right?
You talking about with Vanderpump Rules? 2011, I believe, is when we shot the pilot.
Okay.
And then 2012, I believe, is when it started. I could be wrong.
How did it come about? Because I believe me and Jaxs talked about it when I was on his podcast, but like, how did you ingratiate yourself into the franchise?
So what happened was, if I can go back a little bit, Kristen and I were dating, we were together, and then, Schwartz moved in with me. We met on Craigslist, and then
what was the ad? What was it, Craigslist?
Tom seeking Tom. He had an ongoing Craigslist ad. He worked for this wine distributor, and he had this ongoing ad. He'd always wanted to move to LA, and then I was looking for a roommate. I had previous roommates just not be able to pay rent.
Yeah,
and
been there.
And I was actually looking for somebody who was coming from out of town because I just found that a lot of people
here suck.
Yes. And especially in that situation, like where everybody's kind of living check, struggling, whatever, I find that they're a lot, like they're all full of shit. They're all trying, like, they're very backstabby.
Yes.
And very usy and very fake it till you make it bullshitters.
And this is what I've always said about LA. And this is what's different than because I spent a lot of time in New York as well. And it's crazy because New York for me, even though it's a more, I think, abrasive, I'd call it authentic, even like just grittier city.
The people are less full of shit.
And here's why. And this is what, and
they're
this
less fake it.
They're less fake it because if you were to look at like a pie chart of LA and of New York City and what everyone is in New York City is doing, it's like, you know, there's 30% of the people are here are real estate, 20% are in finance, 15% are in fucking, I don't know, the medical field.
Models.
Whatever. It's the jobs and what people are chasing, what they're trying to do is kind of spread out.
Yeah.
In LA, 99% of the people are all trying to do the exact same thing.
They want to be in the entertainment industry and they want to be.
And so what happens is they're in constant fucking, they're in constant like industry mode where every single person they meet and every single person they talk to, within 5 seconds, they'll have you pegged as if you're someone that can do something for them, if not.
Yeah.
And if they see you as someone that cannot help them in some way, shape, or form move forward, they're off to the next.
Or they'll use you as propaganda.
Yeah.
So like they'll tell you a story so you can go tell, if you get brought up, you can tell a story about how successful they are or how great they're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, I experienced that.
So that's what you were trying to filter out through your Craigslist ad.
So by meeting Schwartz, which by the way, it was between him and a stripper, because
male stripper?
No, female, but she made like good money. She made good money, and that's what I was drawn to.
You know, her making good money.
Yeah, because
not being
I had
a
people,
stripper.
No, I had people. Yeah, no, I had people. If you saw her, you wouldn't think she was a stripper. By the way, just stuff. I mean,
no, I swear, I wanted her as a roommate because she seems like she keeps a tidy place, not because she was going to walk around topless.
No, she also not a 9-to-5er, and also yes, she had a consistent source of income and make good money. That's what I was worried about. But anyways, I ended up going with Schwartz, and so fast forward, you know, Kristen's working at Sir. Her friend Stassi's working at Sir. Katie's working at Sir. There's a lot of people working at Sir that we all kind of hang out with. And they're working at Sir as a means to an end. Everybody's working there because they're pursuing modeling, acting, photography, whatever. And I get a job at Villa Blanca, and Sheena starts working at Villa Blanca. And Tina was also original cast member. She's working at Villa Blanca. So at one point, Jaxs moves into to my apartment, and Kristen's staying with me, and Schwartz is staying with me. There's 4 people in this apartment. Jaxs starts dating Stassi, and Schwartz starts dating Katie. Now, this was a tumultuous group, especially with the girls. You got Katie, Stassi, and Kristen, and they're drinking at work all the time. They're like this was a job where people drank at work.
How old were you guys at this time?
We're in our 20s.
Yeah.
Mid 20s, early 20s. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Good. You're at that age and that stage where you're just like, dude. Yeah.
And Sir was very lax. This is not a corporate place where there's like all these corporate policies. You know, it was kind of like there was favoritism, there was whatever. And so Housewives started filming, and when Pandora got married, she was on her bachelorette party. They filmed that. They covered that on Housewives. And when they were there, it was Kristen, Katie, Stassi, a bunch of other people too. There was like some fucking drama going on. And Lisa was like, listen, like instead of being quiet about it, like kind of lean into it, like basically saying like, don't be quiet about it because you're not on the show. Be quiet about it. And so the producers kind of noticed this.
So wait, the show was already filming before you guys were on?
So Housewives was filming.
Housewives.
They covered it on Housewives.
Got it.
And they started noticing that there was like drama, and they got this sort of light bulb saying like, you know, hey, this is a way. And Lisa, of course, you know, the ambitious woman she is, was like, there's a lot of drama that happens at Sir, blah, blah, blah. So, they shot a pilot. And at this point, I was working at Sir and Villa Blanca, and so was Sheena. And so we're all kind of working together, and it's like, you know, and there would be real arguments and fights. I mean, we were literally going to trips together, music festivals. We were doing modeling jobs together.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Like we were always.
It was organic.
This wasn't very, very organic.
Which is very rare for a lot of reality television shows in this day and age, because now it's like producers basically trying to put a bunch of pieces into a puzzle that don't necessarily exist. They're not taking usually a pre-existing environment or a pre-existing like network of people with relationships that are already established, and then just, you know, documenting that.
Yeah, like when Jaxs and Stassi first started hooking up, we were in Vegas I was working, you know, Magic. So it was like, I was basically there. You know, you familiar? Yeah.
No, but
I was working for, so it's called Magic. It's all these different, basically all these brands are selling to buyers.
Oh, the Magic Show. Yes. So, when you said you were doing magic, I thought you meant like David Copperfield. I'm like, what the fuck don't you do, man? You're a fucking musician, bartender, model, magician.
No. Not yet. Anyways, so I was there. I was working for Joe's Jeans, and then Kristen was working for somebody else, and then I was working
the apparel trade show.
Jaxs was working for like True Religion, and Stassi was there doing something.
Jaxs does not strike me as a True Religion Ed Hardy type guy at all.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we ended up getting fired from like, Jaxs got fired from his last day, because the thing about Magic is you would have to start so early in the morning, and then the clients are like taking you out at night. Then you end up wanting to go out at night afterwards, and by the third day, you end up oversleeping, and you end up missing your last day, and a lot of people get fired on day 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like we met, like we all did project together. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that we ended up just like all like working together, traveling together, doing all these different things together all the time. And so the show sort of evolved from that. And so there would and when we started the show, like we're all like living check to job, we're broke as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
tale as old as time.
Yeah, I remember we went to like Coachella, like, and we were sneaking bracelets on each other. I remember literally putting like oil and Crisco on Schwartz's wrist to get a bracelet on.
Do you want me to tell you the secret of how to do it?
$30 in her checking account. I'll never forget. Can you imagine going to a music festival with $30 in your checking account?
Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
At $30, you can't buy a fucking bottle of water.
Yeah.
It
was nuts.
The trick to getting a wristband off, use a plastic bag. So you basically take the plastic bag and you tuck it like you were like a shopping bag, or we actually just did it at this concert for my friend. You take it like a bag and you pull the bag through the bracelet, and then when you grab the outside of the bag and you pull it, what it does is it provides like a
lubricant,
but also it pulls the bracelet everywhere simultaneously. So when you pull the bag, it's almost like you're turning the bag inside out, and I'll show you the video after this. It'll literally pull the tightest wristband you've ever had on. It'll pull it off.
Well, I can tell you that I got literally a wristband that was this big around over fucking Schwartz's hand. We were not, I swear. That thing was this big, dude. There was 2 of us crushing his hand together this.
Because people are like, oh no, I'll just put it on my fingers. And I'm like, no, that's what they're looking for, you moron. You can't do that. Same shit with me. I remember one of the first couple Coachellas I went to, dude, I was sneaking in.
Yeah.
I was trying to but they weren't. But now they were a little more lax on security than they are now. You have a better chance of getting into fucking Fort Knox than you do getting into Coachella now without a wristband.
I don't know about Fort Knox, but
it's pretty damn close.
But they're definitely on it.
It's crazy.
They scan you in, they scan you out.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, I got into Coachella. I just paid a security guy, and he just literally took his wristband off, put it on me, and then walked me in, took it back off. It was like
good to go.
2008.
All right, and then so Vanderpump, I mean, had obviously one of the most prolific reality television runs ever. Your guys' fan base is again pretty dedicated.
Yeah.
The Bravo fan base is pretty wild. How did you see over the years because like you said, you had gotten on Twitter and Instagram, social media, kind of at the beginning of your run. But as the show evolved and as, again, social media evolved, as all the relationships on your show evolved, like, what did you see kind of like change? Like, how did just kind of the way you guys were treated, the way you guys were edited, the way, fans reacted to you? How did you see that evolve and change over the years?
Well, I mean, I could tell you when we first started, we didn't know what the hell it was going to be, and shit got real immediately because literally day 2 of filming, Stassi and Jaxs broke up. We had all these things. We're like, what are we going to do? Okay, let's have this code word, like if they're filming, like vanilla, like all these like things, and then shit got real immediately because Jaxs and Stassi broke up. It created a huge rift in the friendships, and like it never turned back from that intensity.
Yeah,
and I don't really know if there was a show quite like it on at the time, like where they really took a group of friends like that were so intertwined together, and followed them the way that we did. We worked together, did everything together. And it was so funny because just to go back to like our pilot, when we shot our pilot, I had hair almost like as long as this, and then I had it cut short as a spiky.
Spiky, yeah.
So like you can see they needed more footage of Jaxs and Stassi together, so you can see like halfway through the episode I have long hair, then short hair, and then it's like weird. But as time went on,
not great for continuity.
No, it was not great for continuity. But as time went on, it just sort of became this thing of like, if you know something, say something. And it just was, a lot of, it was crazy to see too, like, how in a way at times it became like liberating because socially you almost become fearless because when you walk into conversations, you're with people that know you, that like you spend all this time with, that know every little thing about you. So it's like, what's going to come out? What's going to be talked about? I mean, anything is fair game. And once it gets talked about, it's like, there's this almost like how, oh my God, you're bringing this up right now? You're fucking bringing this up? Oh yeah? Well, what about this?
Wow.
What about this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it became very like, you don't know what to expect.
So that's, and again, one of the questions one of the comparisons I kind of wanted to make is what I do, which is completely different. I mean, you're more docuseries. When I do is like competition, I guess, but that's always, at least in the way it used to be, it's a little bit different now, but it was almost like anything that happens on the field of battle when we're competing is fair game. Anything that happens, you got a boyfriend, you cheat on him in the house, I don't give a shit if it's not on camera, that could be brought up. Or if you say something, or anything that when we start filming to the day we end, but what people started doing, and what they're still currently doing, is they will bring things that happen now in real life, off the show, that were never filmed, that had no business being on camera, and then they'll bring your personal shit onto the show as a way to try and ruin your real life back home when it's like, yo, this is just a fucking game. Whereas with you guys, it seems like because you guys were this this is it's a documentary of your lives.
Yeah.
So just because things that happen weren't on camera, it's almost like that it still happened in our world. Yeah. It still had an effect on our relationships. Therefore, it's fair game. So it's almost like anything and everything on or off camera in your world was fair game.
Yes.
Ugh.
Anything
Yucky.
and everything.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And that's what's so scary is you have those people. You know those people out there that when you're getting along and you're cool, there's a lot of skeletons or a lot of bodies they'll help you bury.
Yeah.
But then the second you get into it, or the second there's a disagreement, they're going to start digging those bodies back up.
Well, one thing Jaxs would like to do specifically is Jaxs would love to like bring up anything remotely that he had on somebody just to have something interesting to talk about.
Okay.
like just to get attention in the room. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, you never believe when this happened. You're like, dude, that shit was like fucking 6 years ago, before fucking Vanderpump Rules ever even started filming, man." Like, the fuck?
I was in high school.
If you said anything about Jaxs, like if you said like, "Oh, Jaxs will pay this parking ticket a couple weeks," like, dude, why are you doing this to me, man? Come on, bro. Like, God, you're trying to ruin my life. I'm like, Jaxs, you literally you're literally bringing up shit that, like, I didn't even know you fucking knew about from like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Just to be interested. Nobody even asked you. Nobody even asked you.
No relevance about what we're talking about.
No relevance. Like, he used to do that to, like, everybody. And he was bad, man. He would try to get Shorts super wasted and, like, push girls on him and stuff. Like, I'd be like, dude, get the fuck out. What are you doing, man?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, he's a fucking maniac. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, look, like, he's not like that now, but he was pretty nuts.
I mean, but which one of, I think we were all kind of given the same, I almost feel like giving a kid in his early 20s a reality television show, putting him on reality television show is like giving a 15-year-old the keys to a fucking Lamborghini. Okay? This kid is not going to drive the speed limit. And it's almost like, damn, you are not old enough, you are not wise enough, you are not mature enough to wield the type of power that comes along with this. And I think, at least, I'll speak for myself, and this probably might be the same with you guys. When you're in your 20s, and especially being in your 20s in the early 2000s, when just like society is just different, like the things that I used to think were cool, the behavior that I used to think was like cool.
Yeah. Now,
when I look back as a 42-year-old man, I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? And I almost feel like, again, like, it's difficult to have that type of, again, that type of influence, that type of power, that amount of just shit at your fingertips and actually trying to have self-control.
I'm just glad that. Are you referring to like? Look,
everything. I'm talking about the lifestyle. And you guys see the differences. You guys were in fucking Hollywood, dude. You guys were in like, basically. I mean, they call Las Vegas Sin City. Hollywood is no better.
Yeah. Being
on a show that's hugely popular, that's all centered around nightlife, the amount of just attention and what you have at your disposal is just very difficult unless you are a very fucking strong-willed person to like keep that all in check and keep that in perspective, especially as a male in your 20s.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a lot of popularity. Obviously, it became very successful very quickly, especially, season 2. Season 1 was great, and then season 2 was even better and even bigger. And then, again, season 3, we didn't really start making like a lot of money. We didn't start making like a good chunk of change until like season 3. And when like we're filming the show, we're still working at SUR for like, Stassi was the first one to quit. And I remember everybody was collectively annoyed with her because it's like, yo, we still got to like work here. Like, no matter what. And it's like, we can't all just quit. Somebody's still got to work here.
Why'd she quit?
To pursue her like statement necklace dreams or something. Like,
she couldn't do them both?
To be a blogger. No. And she just like... She basically would just come into SUR with like Starbucks and like order Pinot Grigio or some shit. Anyways, she was like the first to quit, which was annoying. I mean, I actually stayed on at SUR like well into season 4, maybe 5. I would do like work there every once in a while, do shorter shifts. But it was crazy, man. I would work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. This is like into season 3. And by Sunday, I was ready to just like, it's
tap out.
Yeah. Because people, especially like, so we have the lounge bar, which is really big, but then you have the restaurant bar, which was really small. And I would get stuck on the restaurant bar on Sundays. and people would just camp out there, and you have nowhere to go back and forth. The music's not loud. You're kind of more of a service bartender.
Dude.
And so people would just camp out there and just interrogate you.
Yep.
Interrogate you. He would sit
'Cause
down
they
and they'd
feel
be
like
like,
they
you're
know
on
you.
some stupid show, right? And then they'd be like, 2 drinks later, they'd be like, all right, so season 2, episode 3, when you said, there's always a guy that did that shit. But yeah, like.
Or do you ever get this one? I have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
My friends say you're someone, like, wait, who are you? I don't know. 'Cause it's almost as if because they're not in the know, that makes them more cool.
Yeah.
Because they don't, even though they do.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who you are, somehow that makes them,
And they want you to know that they don't know who you are.
But then that's the first one that when her friends want to take a picture, she's right in the middle. I'm like, no, bitch, you're taking the picture.
Yeah.
Not happening. But yeah, it is crazy. And again, like
you're in an environment too where you're serving people alcohol, and people would get drunk, and I would have to fucking cut them off. And they would be like, man, I thought you were so fucking cool. I'm an MIT grad. Like, who the fuck are you, man? Like, you can't cut me off. And I would like have to blame, like, I'm like working at a casino. I'm like, somebody's watching the camera right now. I don't want to lose my job, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I would have to cut people off.
Every drink you give them, the longer they're going to take and the more obnoxious they're going to get. That's the problem. A lot of times, like when you're out in public and people are like sober, when their inhibitions are still up, they'll come up to say hi, shake your hand, take a picture. When people get drunk, they won't fucking leave.
Yeah.
They'll literally sit there.
And they get excited.
Yeah.
And they overcompensate that excitement with alcohol.
Yeah.
And so.
Spitting all over you when they're talking to you.
Yeah. And then eventually it fucking hits them like a ton of bricks. Do you know how people can, like in general, when you go out, how they know whether to cut you off or not?
Mm-mm.
So there's a thing where if you're out somewhere and you spill a drink, you immediately have eyes on you. You got one chance. If you spill 2 drinks, you're cut off.
Really?
Yes.
What if the drink gets knocked out of your hand? Because that happens all the time too.
I mean, a drink gets knocked out of your hand. You're not dealing with the situation like if you're at a club or something like that. That's a little different.
If you knock it over, if a bartender sees you spill a drink on the bar,
if the bartender
that's your one get out of jail free.
That's your one. But they got their eye on you.
Got it.
If you spill another drink, you're cut off. That's the rule.
Okay.
Good to know. The only time is if the person is so obviously not drunk that like
they're just clumsy.
Not even that. It's just like you can tell it's like bad circumstances if you've seen it, but like 99% of the time you're cut off. You spilled 2 drinks.
All right. Well, good to know. Next time I go out, I'm going to try and not spill any drinks. I spilled one on a blackjack table a while ago, and I thought fucking they were going to lock me up.
Casinos are a little bit different, but
because they want you to be hammered.
Yeah, and I think that they are different. It depends what kind of casino. Like Vegas is a lot more laxed, but yeah, for the most part, you spilled 2 drinks, you're fucking cut.
So, all right. So Vanderpump, what season throughout Vanderpump was it when you and Ariana ended up, getting together?
That was like season 3.
That was season 3. So it was pretty early on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you guys then maintained that relationship basically throughout the entirety of the show.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was more difficult? Special Forces, Sandoval, or waking up in a castle and having to look at Wes Bergman's freckly face every morning? Pretty fucking tough.
That's really tough.
I know, man. I've had to deal with it too.
I mean, Wes.
It's up there. It could be like 1AB. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I would say Scandal.
Yeah. And first of all, I think having a whole ass scandal that like sounds that cool and like named after you, it's gonna go down in infamy. Obviously, it's kind of fucking cool. You know what I mean? I know it sucks to be villainized on that scale, but I mean, dude, you're literally a part of like American folklore history. Like you're gonna be talked about in the history books.
As a big warning sign. God.
How bad, and here's the thing, I've been we've all been, villainized. I think a lot of people have in reality. Mine's because I stole $275,000 from my partner, who deserved it.
When you, instead of splitting it?
Instead of splitting it.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when I looked you up, I was like, that you had been like hated for doing that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But, it was nowhere, it didn't have, I feel like, the legs, and it didn't carry on for as long as what happened with you. What was it like to be villainized, like on that scale?
Well, it sucks. And I don't really want to go too much into Sandoval or the scandal or whatever the hell, just because it's been over 2 years.
Yep.
And I really do I feel like I've moved on from it and people have moved on. And I really just want to focus on the future. And I don't mind looking back on certain things, and obviously but right now it's I talked about it on the Vile Files. I've talked about it on so many interviews. And let
me ask you this. Do you feel like the punishment fit the crime?
I don't want to talk about this really too much any longer, but all I'll say is the fact that our life is publicized, and the fact the timing of it happening when it did happen at the start of our season, where people are seeing stuff that's already happened in the past, is one of the reasons why it really took off. How it took off into the realm that it did, the absurdity of how much coverage it got, seeing, a CNN anchor talk about it on CNN as they're, talking about the presidential debate. I mean, that is crazy to me. Mm-hmm. But again, it's something I'll never fully understand in that nature. The only thing I do understand is that, I learned a valuable lesson, and all I can do is embrace the future as to, what has happened since then. Mm-hmm. And when you say things like that can happen or do happen, it's they're never going to happen again with me.
Yeah.
Fool
me once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, it's something that, is there, always will be there, but I want to move on from it.
Yeah.
I'm so over everybody using it from cast members to previous cast members to previous cast members, friends to friends of friends. Everybody uses it as fucking clickbait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm getting tagged in Katie's interview Katie's interview with Nick Viall, and it's you got Sandoval crying on the couch. She literally mentioned me one time in the podcast, and they're using it as clickbait.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think that they just did another interview where they're using my name as clickbait, and it's just I'm tired of it is frustrating because, when Lala had her scandal, you know what I mean? I didn't say a fucking word about it. I didn't go on podcasts. I didn't start talking about it, dissecting it, diagnosing them like I'm a therapist. When Katie and Schwartz had their divorce, I didn't go on every fucking podcast and start talking about what I think about the relationship and all that situation. There's all kinds of, when everybody had their things, everybody on our cast has had certain things here and there. And I've never gone around and talked about their shit like that, exploited the fuck out of it the way that they have. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that to me tells me a lot about them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not that person. I'm not going to be that person. They are those people.
Yeah.
They will. And it's frustrating to me too, because, I have, here I am reaching out, talking to Lala, and then she goes on to, Watch What Happens Live, and she goes, too little, too late, buddy. And then literally 3 days later is calling me up, inviting me over to her house. Sheena talking about how she doesn't talk to me. And then literally we're texting back and forth about Masked Singer, about Tyler Henry, about all these other things. And it's just it hurts my feelings. I've been used by every single cast member in that way, to benefit themselves, my misery to benefit them. But it hurts my feelings that like even now 2+ years later that, you know, they're still like, I won't associate, or I don't associate with him publicly. But like they hit me up. Like I just hung out with Schwartz like day before yesterday. We like literally pulled an all night together, broing out. You know what I mean? And there's just a lot of, it's like, you know, I don't want to use the like, I'm a human being, whatever, but I am a human being. I'm a loving person. Yep. I've been loving, caring friends to all of these people. I've been there when nobody else would be. I've been the one person that you can fucking call at 5 a.m. because you're locked out of your house, and I will fucking answer and I will come over. You lose your cat, I'm coming over. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who I am. You need money, you need anything, I got you. And it hurts. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I did. I know what I did is fucked up and it is bad, but there's all these other sides to me. And this is not just me doing things like for any other reason except that like I love being a good friend. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I know how you are too. I can tell you're somebody who likes to be there for their friends. 100%. A shoulder to cry on. Like you can be vulnerable with me. Yep. You can be vulnerable with you, and there will be no judgment ever. Yeah.
And the problem is, when you're a person like you and you're a person like me, you automatically assume because that's the way you see the world, because that's the way you are, that other people automatically are the same way. And I've been disappointed so many times in my life by people that I felt like, because I am loyal to a fault sometimes. I'm so fucking loyal to people. It's like I've been burned, and I'm sure you have. Oh, yeah. I've been burned by people I thought were friends, cast members, producers, managers, because I just assume because I'm a good person, because I'm honest and I'm trustworthy, regardless of the rap that I get on the challenge. But that is a show that is meant to be played hard and fast and fucking.
You're shit talking like adversarial.
But I still have never burned somebody that didn't deserve it, or someone that was actually my friend. Yes, I burned a shit ton of people that they meant nothing to me, and that's part of the fucking game. And I actually said this when all this was going down with you, even though I wasn't like really privy to like the inner circle and shit that was going on. But it blew my mind because I'm like, listen, Vanderpump at the show was literally on its fucking deathbed. It was like on its way out. You did what you did. It literally put the fucking show, bro, through the roof. The ratings were like higher than they'd ever been. Everyone wanted to see what was going on. And all the cast members, all that were directly benefiting from your actions, then were the first ones to be like, oh my God, how dare you? Let's go talk. And I'm like, guys, if it wasn't for you guys, at least behind the scenes should have been like, hey man, you know, in public, I'm going to have to kind of say this, but I just want to let you know, fucking good looking out, because you've literally single-handedly fucking
all of a sudden these people are getting
this. Yes, brand deals, other shows. The show's been fucking
brand deals, the podcast listeners, everybody's podcast. Everybody hugely benefited from it, and all they did was, I mean, they talked about what happened, but then they constantly like they entertained conspiracy theories and all kinds of stuff, and it was at my expense, and it fucking hurt, and it literally put me in a dark place. Like, it was really at my expense, and I understand, and whatever, I forgive you, but what annoyed me is afterwards, like, everybody acting like, you know, considering this is like the 5th fucking cheating scandal on our show, you know, that they can't film or come together, and I felt like maybe they got like, their egos got a little too boosted, because that's what ruins a reality show, is when you become too
bigger than the show.
Well, you become too overly self-produced. You are no longer like letting your guard down, you're letting like your image or what people might think if you do this, if you part your hair on this side.
Public perception.
Exactly. You're letting that cloud your judgment
and dictate who you are.
How you would actually really respond in a situation. And that right there is what ruined and stopped our show. And people going publicly and being like, oh, I don't talk to this person or this person on Watch What Happens Live or in interviews. I mean, that also did it. And we were so close. We were so close to getting picked back up again.
Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah.
But it was just the constant, like, people going on interviews and just being like, well, I don't associate with this person. It's like, we've all, like, I'm not saying, and I'm not downplaying what I did. I'm not. But everybody has done their fair share of shit.
Yes.
You know, I don't care what kind of propaganda or bullshit they try to spin. They've done some fucked up shit.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And, you know, like, we all, I never really judged anybody too hardcore for their shit. You know what I mean? I'd give them a little shit about it, but I never was so, like anti whatever. But we move on, we deal with it, we get together again, we get together again, and eventually we move on from it. And the show could have had so much more life in it. It could have really sort of had a nice little ending or evolved into something else. Because that was one thing about our show that was so great is, like, you know, we start off in a restaurant, barely making ends meet, like scraping together our fucking dimes and dollars to fucking go on these little trips, and then we evolve, and it's like we do start to, like, actually embrace that we are being well known. We break the fourth wall a little more. We, like, move into houses. And then we go into new things, and they really followed us.
There's an evolution.
Evolved.
Yeah,
and it could have evolved again and even more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, the same thing happens I feel like on the challenge, where people now come on. When I first started doing the show, I went for the love of the game because I love to compete and I love to make good fucking TV.
And you're a good competitor.
And I love to travel and I love to wind people up and I love to, like, I'm a showman, dude. Like, I like to go on and I like to, like, push people's buttons, not in a malicious way, but I've been doing this ever since I was a kid, dude. My sisters, like, or just kids in class. I was like, I love to tease people because I want to see what their reaction's going to be.
Yeah.
And that's what my dad says this all the time. He goes, somehow you've taken this mischievous nature that you've had as a kid and you've somehow parlayed it into a fucking career. And I've always been that person and I will always be that person. And people always ask me, like, are you know, when I meet you outside, you seem like you're the same person you are on TV. I'm like, I am. I'm just a more colorful version. What I don't do is go on TV being like, oh, you know what are the fans going to think if I act like this or if I do this? And I start then self-editing and I basically start playing up or start doing what I feel like is going to be popular or what the masses are going to approve of, as opposed to who I really am.
Living your truth.
And that goes back to what you were saying, where all your cast members in private were like, hey, man, we're still good. Like, let's hang out. Let's talk about shows. But in public, because they were so worried about what the public might think, if anything, they should have at least, some of them stuck by you and been like, listen, the guy fucked up. We get it. We're friends with everyone. But, I mean, he doesn't deserve this level of fucking, you know,
well, that was their fault for going too far.
Yeah.
Going too far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They went too far the other way. So, like, when they backtracked, then they looked, it discredited them.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say, too, which I totally forgot, but I did remember something. By the way, I loved filming with Wes. I wish he would have stayed longer on Traitors. He has nothing but respect for you.
Wes is the man. I give him shit all the time. Listen, I talk about
you guys are like, I know your guys' jam.
Yeah.
I know your guys' jam.
Yeah. All right. It's very rare that, like, a show ends and they then bring a show like Vanderpump, and they're just going to bring a whole new cast of characters in and expect now the fan base that grew and loved you guys to now be like, oh yeah, we'll just start watching the show. It's almost like, here's like you guys, and then they're going to bring in like the Temu version and expect your fans then to, like, buy in.
Hey, listen, you said it.
That's what I feel, dude.
And here's the difference. At that point in time when you know, Jaxs is living with me and we first start the show, like, I had known this guy for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, I'd been living with Schwartz for years. You know what I mean? Like, I'd been with my girlfriend at the time for like a few years. Like, we all knew each other for many years, had so many experiences together, gone through so much shit together, gone through so many bad fights together, breakups, makeups, all that kind of shit. And we just happened to work at this restaurant that we like kind of were like waiting. You know what I mean? Waiting for the day where we could like go into SUR because we like finally made it in whatever career we're going after. You know what I mean? We're looking for the day where we're like, hey, Guillermo, Lisa, sorry guys, I'm leaving. I've made it big in the movies. You know what I mean? Like, so it was always a means to an end. This cast is like, they wanted to get a job to like, you know, hopefully make it into the background of one of our scenes or hopefully try to like hook up with a cast member to try to make it on the show. Their goals were to make it on the show. I know one person that was trying to get on the show who literally came into town and took an Uber straight from the airport to SUR to get a job there.
Is her name Raquel?
No. But
yeah, I know. Listen,
so
you can't. I call it something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we just change the name? It's like
don't do the same opening credit song.
No.
Call it Surreal.
Yeah.
Call it Surreal.
Yeah.
It's about SUR. Call it Surreal.
Yeah.
I mean,
they should call it Vanderdump.
Well, when Vanderpump Rules started, Lisa at that time just had Villa Blanca and SUR.
Mm-hmm.
She just had 2 restaurants. Lisa is like, she's everywhere now.
Didn't she just buy somewhere on the Strip?
She's in Tahoe.
Vegas.
She's got 3 places in Vegas.
Yeah.
She's opening another place.
I thought she just bought a hotel in Vegas.
France. Yeah, she's everywhere. She's not 2-restaurant Lisa like she was back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she's not like emotionally, mentally present. Like nor does she even probably hardly know these fucking people.
Yeah, or give a shit.
And like I just, you know, I mean, look, can you name a single like cast member from Saved by the Bell, the new class?
No.
I don't think very many people can. But I can name a lot of like
the OGs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mark Paul Glacier, Mario Lopez, Elizabeth Berkley, Lark Voorhees.
What was Urkel's real name?
Oh, Urkel. Stefan.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're trying to recreate something, and it's just not.
You can't. You can't. Listen, again, they've tried to do it the challenge. The problem with, and this is the thing, when you have a show where there is a returning cast season after season after season, and it goes on for years, right? They develop a fan base.
Yeah.
That fan base.
That's why you guys keep returning.
Anything new.
That's
the
why
challenge is the same way. I'm like, yo, I have people who've been watching me for 19 years.
Yeah.
They're my age or older. They're not trying to get to know the 22-year-old kid from fucking Love is Blind. It's just not happening. You can't do that. They know what they want and they don't want anything different. And it's like, if you want to create this reboot, fine. Just rebrand it.
They want to say things like, oh, that's so bananas.
Yeah.
And that's, you know what I mean? Like they do. God, that's such a Sandoval thing. You know what I mean? Like they want that shit. Yeah. And, you know, again, you're creating an environment where the goal of all these people that are working at the restaurant is to work at the restaurant and be on a show.
Yes.
And that will come across.
Yeah.
Versus us, the goal of us working at SUR was to make some money so we could like go and do other things, and we were like working as a means to an end.
It was very similar to The Real World, which is the show that I first did. Take 7 strangers, put them in a house. Well, you guys weren't strangers. Take 7 people, put them in a house, have their lives taped, and see what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. And that was The Real World, and it was authentic. Then you had people who came on who had an agenda and had a certain character they wanted to portray. And they cared more about like, oh, how many likes am I going to get? How many followers am I going to fucking get? How am I going to be perceived in the public? More so than like, am I going to make, how authentic am I going to be? Or I'm going to, be a true version of myself. So, but that's what happens in this day and age. I will say this though, fans, some of them may not be that bright, but they know what they like and they know what they want to see. And you know what they can do? And you can too. You can sense and you can smell authenticity.
Yeah.
It resonates through. And if somebody is not being an authentic version of themselves and they're trying to be someone they're not,
they're gonna smell it.
They're gonna know. I'm just glad. Listen, man, I'm glad that you came out the other side. And I think honestly, Traitors is one of the best fucking things to happen to you, because I saw this, and as someone that knows you and knew through this entire time, it's like, the Tom Sandoval that I saw on Traitors is the same guy that I met when we did fucking a Korean salt scrub in Koreatown.
Yeah.
One of the first times we ever hung out, dude. You guys are sitting in the fucking
driving range.
The driving range. You guys are sitting in that salt room. I'm getting scrubbed down with this salt. It was like, then we went to Mama Lion after. Like, we had like such a good time. And then when I saw you on Traitors, I'm like, this is the same guy. I'm so glad now that the fans and people out there that might have had this opinion of you, like you're this fucking evil monster, dude, see you and they're just like, I feel like a lot of people put their pitchforks down and a lot of people put their torches down and kind of saw a different side of you. And like, this kind of was like a really, I think, positive experience for you and like, you know, your character, your persona on TV, your public persona.
I really made a choice to just like really just be myself, go into the game. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing like competition shows because you fully get into the game. Like, and it gets people, I like the way reality TV is kind of going with more of these competition shows because it's less about like dissecting this personal toxic fucking drama.
100%.
If you get to a certain point with somebody, like we're friends, right? But if we talk long enough, we will find a point to where we fundamentally disagree. And the problem with a lot of reality TV is it's like they push you to the point to where two people fundamentally disagree. Then they give them like 3 drinks each, maybe sleep deprive them a little bit and tell them to talk about that specific little fucking thing and talk about it again and then go talk about their friends about that little tiny thing. And that little tiny thing becomes this huge big thing. And then it has this like sort of, you know, what do I want to say? Domino effect. And then it becomes this whole other thing. Well, I heard you were talking about my mom, like fucking blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it's off this little fucking thing. That's why I love these like shows that are out now, these competition shows, because everybody is trying to do the competition. They're going after that. They're excited about that.
They're going, there's a
little
point
drama
to being
shit.
there.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're excited and enthusiastic. Like I was fucking enthusiastic as hell.
Tell. It was hilarious.
At
Dude,
fucking
watching
Traitors.
you know what's funny? Because I haven't done a competition show, but I did one with Jaxs. And I feel like you are so much more cut out for and tailored for competition than he was. Okay? He came on to House of Villains and had no fucking clue what he was doing and basically did everything that he shouldn't have done and did it all wrong, which is why he was gone first.
I was shocked that he was gone first.
Yeah. Well, he just came in too hot. He came in hot and ferocious, dude. And it's like, you can't do that. And that's the thing. They were just like, we got to get rid of this guy. But with you coming on Traitors, I just almost felt, I think one of the funniest things, and I know this is what you've heard a lot, is just how just off your traitor radar was almost the entire game. When you guys got out of your first round table, and I think it was Carolyn and Danielle, and you went up to both of them, and you're like, you know, I got a good feeling about you guys. You literally, unbeknownst to you, just told 2 traitors that you guys are 100% faithfuls in my eyes.
Oh, when you watch it back, once you know, it's
you're like, how the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I mean, you should. They really focused on my conspiracies.
Because it was great, dude.
Everybody had their
good.
conspiracies. You watch the after show. Everybody had conspiracies.
Yeah. But I think it's just because yours were always so off the mark.
I was so enthusiastic about them.
Here's the thing, though. I know that I don't think this was intentional, but if that was like your intention going in, just being like, I'm just going to fucking have the most off the wall conspiracies out here. And it's almost like, what's the movie? Like The Usual Suspects, where he pretends to be like, you know, crippled the entire movie. And then at the end, he ends up being Kaiser Soze. Yeah. Verbal Kint. Kaiser Soze at the end. And it's like, I almost feel like that would have been a great strategy, but I think that is what.
You know, I had a strategy at the very end of that game.
What was it?
A really, really good one. And I revealed it to Dylan the morning of. If you would have seen Dolores' behavior, like leading up, the girl never cared about wanting to get never cared about even trying to get a traitor out at the round table. She would ask me, she's like, who are we voting for? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. Okay. And then like, she was like, oh, Boston Rob, I hope he doesn't get murdered. Everybody at that point knew Boston Rob was a traitor. They just really liked him, didn't want him. She told me one night right before we went to bed, she was like, yeah, you're getting murdered tonight. She literally told me this. She never cared about getting a shield, ever. Never cared about getting a shield. During social time, and you know how this is, you got to run around and try to gather up. She would just sit in a chair and just like plant like in one spot.
Very traitorous behavior.
Just like the most traitorous behavior. And I wasn't the only one that thought this. But what happened is as time went on, I figured out that once I didn't get murdered in plain sight in the church, I figured out that Dolores was probably not a traitor. But we were down to our last night where a traitor could recruit. And I told Dylan, I said, we know that it's Danielle and Carolyn. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, dude, it's Danielle and Carolyn. Did you not see their little spit back and forth?
Yeah.
Yet they try to stay on opposite ends of the room. Yet there's like tension between them. Yes, it's Carolyn and fucking Danielle. I said, this is the one night, and I need you to start spreading it around. This is the one night where we need to get a faithful out, because then they can't recruit. Then we already know who the traitors are. We can banish one the next day and put the other one out at the round table.
Wow.
I told him this.
What a fuck.
And so I said, What
a fucking great strategy, dude. I'm going to add master strategist to your intro.
I asked him, I was like, who is the one faithful that has literally done fucking nothing? Dolores.
Yeah.
So that's why I started going. I was like, let's start spreading around Dolores. She has traitor vibes. So that's why I start going around. I'm like, I really think it's Dolores. I really think it's Dolores. I really did think it was Dolores until like, maybe like a day prior, 2 days prior. But I'm like, it's not Dolores because she would have murdered me in plain sight.
Yep.
So I started going around, and he was supposed to go around the people too. And he fucking didn't. He didn't. Yeah. And instead, he's like, I'm like, do you not realize that Danielle and Carolyn are protecting both of us? We're both fine.
Yeah.
You realize that, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, and then we're at the round table. I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, Dolores, do it like this. Like, and I was like, what's his name? British guy, Royal.
Ivar.
Ivar. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why I'm bad with names right now. But,
I'm bad with names all the time.
So Ivar was on board too, but he brought it up at the round. They cut it out, but he brought up the idea at the round table. So there was 3 of us ready to do it, and then fucking Dylan backed out, and then they get out fucking. Because I told him I was like Dylan, if we get out a fucking traitor tonight, which we will unless we do something about it, you and I could be a traitor tomorrow.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna I'm going to still come in. If I'm a traitor, I'm not giving up. And he's like, I'm not going to either. I'm like, well, how are you going to know?
Yeah.
You have no evidence, because the biggest evidence comes from actions.
Exactly.
But you have no evidence.
So do you think that, because see, this is what, the way they spun it this season was almost as if it was like your theories and everything and all of your ideas were so fucking just batshit off the wall crazy. When what you're saying is it was almost like, no, you had a good line, you had a good strategy, you knew what you were doing, but it was almost like for the edit. Yeah.
Yes, for the edit. And everybody had fucking crazy. You can when you watch the after show, you can see everybody's like crazy conspiracies. They just decided to only show mine. You know that Dylan would come to the round table, like he did it like 3 or 4 times. He was like, Gabby, I just know it's you.
Yeah.
I just know it's you, Gabby. Hey, Dylan, what's your evidence? I don't know. I just know it is. I just know. I just got a feeling.
Oh, no, they had to give him. I've never seen anyone get a clean. I thought Pilot Pete's edit as being the faithfulest of the faithful was good. I've never seen a cleaner edit than Dylan. And then this motherfucker goes and saves 2 drowning women the other day.
Yes!
I'm like, does this guy need any more fucking positive press? Jesus Christ. I've never seen anything like it.
Dude.
The guy's already the second coming of Jesus. And then it's like, oh, well, on top of that, you know what else he did? He fucking rescued 2 women, a drowning fucking pillowcase of kittens.
A pillowcase of kittens.
Unbelievable, dude.
No, that's amazing. Dylan is he's a really great guy. He's really sweet.
He seems solid. Everyone, a lot of people on this seat, with the exception of Wes Bergman, they all seem like really good people.
Yeah, right?
Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently? Is there anything you could have done differently to potentially, make it to be one of the faithfuls at the end?
Yes, I actually fully screwed up. After Danielle did her whole like crying spell when Carolyn got out, I was fucking livid. And I went to everybody. I literally told everybody. I just was like, wow, we just watched another fucking traitor get a traitor out. This was the time we should have gotten a traitor out. I was pissed, or a faithful out. Yeah. I was like, literally, it's so, they're like, really? Everybody's like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, where are you guys? Like, it's so obviously Danielle and Carolyn. Like, it's obvious. I was just pissed because guess what? I thought for sure I'm going to wake up the next day
and be dead
as a traitor.
Oh.
Or dead.
Yep.
So I just was like pissed off, and I kind of like.
Would you have not wanted to be a traitor though? Why not? I mean, then no one would have suspected you.
I don't know. I maybe they would have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just was like, I don't want to be a traitor. We have a plan. Stick to it, and we win. We can sing Kumbaya.
You're like, I'm way better at being a faithful.
Yeah. And so I was pissed. I ran my mouth, and that's why I got murdered. They probably would have murdered Ivar, but then when Danielle recruited Brittany.
Isn't it weird how traitors though it goes?
That was my regret.
Now, granted, I was only there I never made it to a fucking breakfast, so I'm not necessarily.
I know, man. You were fucking robbed. You got to get back on that show somehow.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was the plan, but some things have changed. Anyways, I'll be back eventually. Timing is just bad, but but what I did see, and again, because I covered it on my podcast, and there's a lot of people that I'm still friends, me and Pete, I'm going to see him this weekend. We should all get together, dude. We're at a Stagecoach. Anyways.
Definitely.
It's funny how the show evolves. It goes from like, all right, we got to get a traitor out. Everyone's looking for a traitor. Then you finally get one. Then it's like, okay, let's now find out who the traitors are, but let's not get them out. Let's just like try and get close to them so then they protect us. And then, like you said, it goes to a point now at the end where it's like, even though we know who the traitors are, let's not get a traitor out. Let's get a faithful out. So then it makes the options of who they're going to have to choose like less. And then it's more obvious who the other people are that we need to knock out.
They also changed the rule on ours where, they only had one more round table where somebody would reveal once they got out that they were a traitor. The Fire of Truth, no longer did they reveal whether they're a traitor or a faithful.
Oh, my God.
So I was like, guys, this is so important that we do not get a fucking traitor out because there is no way. Except the fact that Danielle, in my opinion, made a bonehead move and picked Brittany.
That was wild.
That was like wildly obvious.
Should have picked Dylan.
Yeah, seriously. How the hell would we know that?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't have no idea.
None.
Like
none.
That's why I said it's so important. I like stress this to Dylan so much, but the guy never listened to me ever.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, you realize Boston Rob is just like using you as a pawn. He's like, whatever, Tom. I'm like, he's a traitor.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
Literally, the guy's just murdering everybody
that comes across, and anyone that looks at him like a mob boss.
Yeah,
it's like if you fucking look at him sideways, dude, you're dead.
I was like, the guy also is a poker player, and he goes all in day 3. You know what I mean?
Thought he played I thought him and Dan,
way too aggressive.
And I said this on, I've said this in the past. I thought him and Dan both made the same mistakes in different ways. And I think a lot of them, this is what we were kind of talking about before when we first started. When you haven't been on TV, if you're a gamer and you haven't been on TV in a long time, but when you were on, you built this reputation for being like the most notorious fucking gamer that thinks 8 moves ahead and is playing 3D chess and like has to have their hands. They have to make sure that they're moving all the pieces. It's like when that's the mentality you're in the game with, it's very easy to establish an MO.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you're the one that's making all the moves. I honestly thought that the way that Phaedra played on my season and kind of the way Carolyn played on this season, where it was like, whether or not they wanted to be part of the decision, the fact that they weren't and things were just happening without their fucking approval or consent, it was impossible to trace back to them.
Yeah.
You had Dan and you had Rob that were the ones that were the leader of every single murder. They were always in charge. So their game and their MO is then what was easily traced back.
Yeah,
Dan comes in, he's like, what guy am I intimidated here by? Who's more alpha than me? Which is every fucking guy, including Alan. But it's like, I'm going to murder all those guys that I feel like intimidated by.
Yeah.
Guess what type of guy does that? A beta male. There's no females in the house that are going to be like, let's get rid of all the fucking strong guys. So you already knew it couldn't. It was like Dan made it so obvious that was him. Rob's the same way. Anyone that said his name, looked at him sideways, dead. It's like, so I almost feel like, dude, if they would have just kind of sat back.
He also got Bob the drag queen out way too early. I was like, dude, this is so obvious.
Way too early.
And he went all in. He said he said you can vote me out tomorrow if I'm wrong. And I'm like, dude, you've been here. You know how it is too when we film that show. Yeah. You're there for 3 days. Yeah. But on the first day, it's filmed over 3 days.
Yep.
He missed those first 3 days. So he was there even less. And all of a sudden, he knows Bob the drag queen is a fucking... And he's like, who's the one person, no offense to Dylan, who thinks Bob the drag queen is a traitor for some reason? Dylan's just like, I just got a feeling about Bob the drag queen. Rob's like, let me grab onto you and just use the shit out of him. I was like, Dylan, what is your evidence that Bob the drag queen is he's like, I just got a feeling. He talks a lot.
He's loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
No evidence.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you know what though? As much as it stuck and as much as it stung to go home early when I did, I honestly feel like that, especially after seeing the way that season played out, seeing the way this season played out, if and when I do go back, I'm going to bring a different energy to the house because I just went in way too fucking hot.
You went in a little too hot, maybe.
I went in too hot, but here's the thing. There was only one person that my energy and the way that I kind of entered the house didn't resonate with. And unfortunately, it had to be the one person who was a traitor. And that was Dan. I thought I was pretty good with everybody else. I probably would have been for a while. He could have used me as a fucking meat shield to hide behind. And it's like, as a shiny object.
They got to bring you back, man.
Well, if they do an All-Stars, that would be cool.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'll go back on that. That would be fucking great. That would be fucking great, man. Well, shit, dude. Again, I think of everything that you did, obviously Special Forces, I thought that was a very good side. That showed your vulnerability, that showed like you literally being, and that's what the show's meant to do, to break you down to
experience.
to break you down to like the,
I would do it again. That was
that's
such
something
a
I'd
cool
like
experience.
to do. Special Forces would be a cool show.
Should try
Yeah.
it. It's fucking hard, man.
Yeah, I bet. And they probably tailor it.
Yeah, no, the hardest part, I'll tell you real quick, I'll just sum it up. The hardest part about Special Forces, if you're running like, let's say a 30K or whatever, you're running the 30K. What they do is they fucking get you to think you're running 5K. And they scream at you to literally give 110% to you cross that 5K finish line. And then they say, what the fuck are you doing? You still have 10 more K to go. And then they scream at you to get across that 10K. And then they're like, what the fuck are you doing? You still got 15 more K to go.
Oh my God.
It is the most
it's like climbing a mountain. You know what a false summit is?
Yeah.
When you climb, you think that's the top, and you get to the top of that, and there's another mountain behind it, and then you get to the top of that, and there's another mountain behind that.
But I mean,
one.
like having somebody scream at you, like to where you're like overexerting. And because I had somebody scream at me, I took my gloves off, and I ended up getting blisters. I had to rip my blisters every morning, and they do bee stings. I mean, you're crawling through a frozen trough that's filled with dirt water. It's like being underwater in dirt water and claustrophobic at the same time, getting kicked in the face with boots. It's like there was a lot of shit that they didn't show that they can't fit in on the show. There were challenges they didn't show or missions. But that's really what it is. And they will run you, and they did run us till somebody quit. And it's like, you just have to literally put your head down and just know that at some point production has to come off the mountain.
I think in a weird way, though, the shows that you've done have really they've come at perfect times. I feel like that show was meant to like boot camp is meant to do, break you down to the most vulnerable, basic version of yourself, and then you rebuild from there. And I think that Traitors was a perfect reintroduction to Tom Sandoval because you came off so fucking likable. And I think, and this is coming from people, and I've talked to a bunch of people that I know who just know about you through the headlines, and they were like, I fucking love it. I thought he was that was, I think, a very good way for you to almost like come back out, reintroduce yourself, reinvent yourself, and really show people that like you're not this fucking evil monster that you've been portrayed to be.
No, man, it was awesome. I love competition. I want to do more. I just saw this one up called, what is it?
Destination X?
No, I don't know that one, but I want to try that one. But there's one where like these people like have $1 million in a box and like they have to try to pass it around.
Get out, no way out, or get out. Gotta get out.
Gotta get out. Yes. I want to do that one. Yeah, Spencer did that one.
Yeah, Spencer's
that
on
one.
That
looks fucking awesome.
You gotta do House of Villains, man.
House of Villains?
You got to do House of Villains, man. Got to do villains, bro.
All right, we're talking. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. I appreciate you coming on, dude. It was cathartic.
Yes. Yes, it was. It was a lot of fun, man.
Can't wait to see what your next move is. For those out there who don't follow you, where can they find you on social media?
Tom Sandoval 1 on Instagram, on now X.
Back on X.
It's been 5 years.
Fuck yeah.
Tom Sandoval 1 on Twitter, or no, that's X.
X, yeah, same thing.
Instagram and TikTok, and Tom Sandoval the Most Extras. We got some shows coming up. We just announced some.
Where?
Where
and when?
We're 2 shows in Michigan. We got 1 show in Illinois.
When?
I can't remember.
All right. All right, but
they're coming up. They're coming up like late. May, I think.
Okay, late May. Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras will be performing. Michigan, Illinois. Where else? Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I walked by the theater in New York City and I saw you guys up. Unfortunately, I was flying to Ukraine the next day, but you were like, dude, you stopped by our show. Yeah, it was a while back. But anyways, man, appreciate you stopping by. Great chopping it up. Man, thanks for stopping by the Death, Taxes, and Bananas podcast, where the tea flows like wine and my guests instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm Oprah, and I love you.
Love you too, bro. Dude, I forgot to give this to you. Tom's Good Lovin'.
Wait a minute.
Bourbon.
I've had Tom's Good Lovin' in the past, though, and it wasn't in a bottle.
Oh, yes. Well, there's that also.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to try it out.
Dude, it's a port blended bourbon. It's so good.
I'm gonna have to try a little bit of this.
It's good just straight up too, not even on the rocks, just straight up.
What do you think I'm gonna do? Mix it with fucking coffee?
No. Just sometimes people throw it on the rocks. And then look, there's a picture of me and Schwartz right there, so you know it's serious because we're both wearing mustaches. And it's got the motorcycle sidecar on it.
To live in, to good loving,
yeah,
and to go in fucking bananas.
Yes.
I
went with you.
Wow, suddenly you look so much more handsome after that shot.
You just got fucking hot.
The more I drink, the better you look, Tom.
Yeah.
All right. Dude, thanks. That's actually really tasty.
It's good, right?
It's fucking really good.
That's nice. It's
I
like
love
just
the
a
artwork,
kiss.
too.
It's just got a kiss of bourbon on the, or port on the end.
I love that, dude. No, it is. That's really tasty. Thanks, man.
Fuck yeah.
The last two times I've had you on my show. We did cocktails for Celebrity Sleepover when you brought your horn out, your trumpet.
Oh yeah.
And the ukulele.
The ukulele.
No, it was a ukulele. It was half guitar, half ukulele.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, dude. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming.
Fuck yes.
All right.